All right, just started the live stream. I'm going to give it a couple seconds here for people to join. All right. For anyone watching, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Sorry, there's a bit of delay here. I'm trying to get things set up, but welcome. So I'm just going to give it a couple minutes here just for people to come in and join. So I'm getting things set up. All right. So how's everything going? I am not feeling the greatest, but I'm going to push through here. How does audio sound? All is doing well, man. Other than being sick. It's not COVID, but just a cold, I think. But let's crack a fresh one here. Oh, gosh. All right, welcome everyone. I think we got 6 in the chat right now. Let's get it started. You know, I don't want to waste too much time right now, but excuse my voice. I'm a little sick at the moment, but starting to feel a little better. But if I'm clearing my throat, that's why. I just want to start off by telling you guys about the track itself. So I did it was the third event in the SCCA time trials, the Rocky Mountain time trials group. They've done quite a few events so far. I did the first one down in La Junta, and then the second one down at Pueblo Motorsports Park, and then this third one at High Plains Raceway. And I think High Plains has been my favorite track so far. It was actually the longest, so this track is 2.55 miles. So it's pretty long, and there's one really long straight here between turn 3 and 4 that I'll probably talk about a bit more. But at previous tracks, there was a lot more finesse needed, I think, especially at Pueblo. Pueblo had a lot of really difficult, tight turns. And if you didn't set your car up correctly for them, it was very difficult. Now, there were a couple tricky hairpins and some really long overhanders you have to get correct on High Plains, but overall, for a lot of the track, I'd say it's more straightforward. That being said, there are 15 turns. And some of those are 13 and 14. They're really just one long S, so it's a short right or a short left and a short right. But altogether, 15 turns. There's a lot more to memorize, and so it was difficult just getting onto the track because it was my first time on there, and there was a lot, and with some of these long straights, because it's such a long track, it's a lot higher speed. So you had to have a lot more balls, and it took me a little bit of time to start getting comfortable and stuff. I was also running brand new tires, my new wheel and tire setup. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure you go check it out. But so together with those things, it was definitely a cool, interesting experience. But for anyone just joining, welcome. I'm talking about my experience at High Plains Raceway. Can somebody in chat just say whether or not audio sounds good, whether or not I've been trying different mic setups and video setups and things like that. So if my voice sounds like kind of weird, let me know, because it means that it's going through the wrong audio source. I got my mic right here. So yeah, if someone could let me know, that'd be awesome. Just going into just an overview on the track here. You know what? Let me just make sure that it's my microphone audio output. All right, this game, okay, and then audio input. Let me make sure it's on. Okay, it is. All right. So it's just an overview on the track. It is 2.5 miles long. The start finish, I like the setup on this track because the pit in and the pit out are right next to the start line. Getting some faint echo from the room. Okay, well that's good. Let me lower the gain a little bit, see if that fixes that. But okay. So starting at the beginning of the track here, the start finish is right in the middle of the main straight next to the grid in the paddock and area. And I like that the pit in is just very well organized. It's easy to get on, easy to get off. The pit out is separated away from where the main flag station is at the start finish line, which kind of makes you as a driver you have to be a lot more aware when getting onto the track. Just looking over your shoulder, checking to make sure you're not ruining someone's hot lap at the beginning of between turn 1 and 2 there. But just let's go through each of the turns really quick. So with turn 1, it's at the end of the mini straight here, the front straight. Usually top speed was around 105, maybe 110, right there. And you kind of have the hard brake, but it's not a 90-degree turn. It's more than that. So I think it's like an 85, or no, it's a 105-degree turn right there. So it's really hard on the brakes and turn in and just go straight over that apex, straight over the curbing, and then use the curbing on the right side where my mouse is here. And let me zoom in a little more. There we go. You guys can see my mouse, yeah. So going over the curb here on the inner apex, and then using the curbing on the right side. And then what you do is you draw out into about the middle of the track. You don't want to go all the way over. And then you have a right-hander overturn. It's a little bit, I wouldn't call it a hairpin, because it's a little bit wider. But the key for this one is a late apex. So what you do is you drive straight to the end of the track here from the middle, and then you just hard turn in over to go on the curbing near the exit right here. So the apex is really there instead of out here. Turn 3 was probably one turn that I think that I could definitely get better on, because it's really just confidence. So turn 3 was, and for anyone watching, I'm going to be showing you guys all the footage, a couple different videos of my laps. I have them prepped right here on the screen with all the data overlay and all of that. So we're going to get to that. So just be patient if you're just joining here. But anyways, so turn 3 is really a false turn. You're flat out coming out of 2, and usually you lift for a half second as you go over the apex at 3, and then the rest of that is just flat out. So this turn here doesn't even have a number because it's just so long and wide that as you're coming out of 3, you're just on throttle all the way onto the straight. And it really takes a lot of commitment and trust in your tires and your handling to go over that curb, to touch that curb, and then stay in it all the way on as you turn onto the straight. And it's not really, it's not, like I said, it's not labeled as a turn, but you do have to do some steering wheel input to get over there. 4 is it's nice because you have a hard braking zone at the end of this long straight. My top speed I saw on here was 124, but excuse me. I don't think I actually might have hit a little bit higher speed. I was having some issues with my GPS, but on the Track Addict I saw 124, and it's a hard braking zone, and then again a really aggressive turn in over that curb to cut the corner, and then a hard braking zone, a pretty standard 90-degree turn at turn number 5 here. This one's a little hard to get because you do kind of brake in a straight line and then a little bit of a late turn in, so you can fling it over the curbing and then go down the hill between 5 and 6 into that tight hairpin. And then for 6, very hard braking zone. You're usually, I think I hit like 85 or 90 between 5 and 6 because you got the nice downhill. And then a tight turn into 6, which I think that one is maybe not, I wouldn't say the scariest corner, but definitely tricky because you really got to get on the brakes and just keep as much momentum while going downhill with no banking over the apex there. Right, its apex was really like right about here where my mouse is. Oh, I'm covering it. There we go. Right about here is where the apex was. So 7 is a long overhander that goes back up the hill. And 7 is weird because you just go flat out between 6 and 7 on that little mini straight on the back end of the track. And then it's, you just lift. You lift and coast up that hill and let the tires squeal, and you try to hold as much speed going up. And then as soon as you find the right line, hitting the curbing right around here, because the curbing lasts all the way from here on where my mouse is, all the way up. You try to hug that curbing all the way up, and then drift out to the left, use the curbing on the left up onto the little straight here, and then again a really tight hairpin at 8. Take the tight hairpin, that's another brake turn in. You want to hug that as you kind of use that as a slingshot out towards 9. 9 is flat out down the hill, or it should be. Little S's, use the curbing. 10 is good. 10 and 11, those turns felt pretty good to me. I don't know why, but they felt really comfortable. 12 is a slight turn, and then 12 is like a false turn because basically you're coming out of that loop at 11, and you just hug the left side of the track coming up 12. And it's like a blind hill here coming back up the hill. Most of this section from 8 all the way to 13, most of that is slightly uphill. Or I'm sorry, from 10 to 13 is all uphill. And then you hug 12, stay in tight on that curb, and then 13 hard braking zone into the S's and back onto the main straight. So that's basically the overview of the track. Like I said, I really like this track, and the key was using the curbing. I did get some time on the racing sim on Assetto Corsa. I was able to download this track, this one I created, and get a bit of time. I'm terrible at the game, but it was helpful for kind of visualizing and memorizing what each corner looked like. So by the time I did get on track, I had maybe 20 laps in the game, 25 under my belt, and I was definitely a lot more familiar than I was with the previous tracks. So I do plan on continuing to do that in the future when I'm prepping for a brand new track, or any track, even if I've been there before. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's get into our first hot lap clip here. I love this desktop background. It's really good motivation. This is from a YouTube video. Subaru did a hot lap of this crazy mountain course. It wasn't Pikes Peak. I think it was in the Swiss Alps. Crazy elevation changes. Awesome video. That's Mark Higgins, by the way. But anyways. Whew. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. I'm just gonna play a really short 10-second clip, and if somebody can please tell me whether or not you can hear the audio, because the last time I did this, the audio from the video didn't come through. So please tell me if you hear this, and if you don't, please let me know. So I'm just gonna play a quick 10-second clip. So I know there's going to be a little bit of a delay here, but somebody please thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know if you could hear that video. Audio's good. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. All right. So video starts from, I'll show you right on that picture. Video starts from right about here, right after the S's, or right around turn 15, going up towards the start line. You're going to see the flag podium up on the left. That's where the start line is. And this is the slowest fast lap I have. So I did 3 videos where I exported the lap data that I had the overlay for. I did one which was my fastest session from session 1. And if you guys watched that last video about this lap session, this track session, you'll know at the end of at the end of session 1, I ended up blowing the coolant hose. So that was probably like 2 or 3 laps after this one. Yeah, so I'll tell you guys more about that. I actually have the coolant hose right here. It has a hole in it. So I'll talk to you guys about that in a little bit. But let's stay in chronological order here. So even though this was, my time for this lap was 2:11, it's gonna look slow because I didn't think this was going to be a fast lap, and so I wasn't really flat out in the straights. I was focused on this lap only in learning the tires a bit more and trusting the tires. And you actually see on the main street here I let out a couple times, but I was trying to give space. So here's the end of that long main straight there. Turning in, and then here we go diving down the hill. Beautiful course, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. So there's that late turn in to hit those apexes, and then drifting left using all of the track as much as you can. Big right-hander up the hill. Get right, stay tight, and then you have a hard braking zone here, and then a turn in left. Fun little downhill S's. And I definitely stayed in the throttle a bit more later on, but also an area for improvement. So basically 211.87. We're fighting for inches here, but yeah, I think the transponder on this one actually came through something a little more accurate. You'll see this little device I have up here in the corner. This is actually the external GPS unit I have linked through Bluetooth to my phone, and the Track Addict app, which is what collects all this information and actually displays on the screen. You'll see as a little screenshot. As you pass the finish line each lap, it'll flash at you and tell you, excuse me, what your time for that lap was. Apparently, these devices don't like to be at an angle on the windshield there, and they don't like to be close to any electrics. So there must be some wiring up in here above the visor, and maybe in the heater element up here on the window. So what I did was later on, I took this and I duct taped it on top of my little hood here. You'll see it in the next video, but regardless, the it's not the most accurate. So I think the transponder system that they use for the official times, I have that mounted on the front of the car on my tow hook I have on the front. And yeah, so that was fixed later. But overall, this was still very early in the session, this lap, and so I was able to really start pushing for faster and faster times. But I was really battling the heat. And the result of that heat was my coolant line blowing. And so I'm going to show you guys a quick funny clip of... This is my buddy Trey. He took this video with his phone. He was in the hot pits watching the laps, and he got a pretty funny little clip here. So just play it. So this is me getting towed out. You can see the coolant coming up and boiling over at the top of my...
Bye, Kevin. Bye.
I mean, yeah, it was just funny. But it's actually, it's not often that I get video clips of me out of, like, for outside the car with me in the car. So it's just really funny seeing my car from the outside being, like, moving, because I never really see it. So like my first reaction to this video clip was actually like, damn, my car looks good. But obviously I'm getting towed back to the pits here.
Bye, Kevin. Bye.
But yeah, that car, she looks good. She's got a little booty on her. She looks good. But so awesome crew here, SECA. These guys, they have a larger truck with a flat loader on the back. They come with us to each event. So SCCA hired this one team, and every event that I've been to, they've just been awesome people working with us, and really nice guys. And basically, so I pulled over into the pit, and I talked to the official who was working the pit at the time. I think it was Kevin Carter, who came over and radioed in. He said, hey, this guy needs a tow. They showed up in 30 seconds with the truck and this tow strap. Just put it in neutral and took the ride back to my little area in the paddock where I worked on the car. But now's a good time as any to give you guys some more details on what actually happened there. I've explained it a little bit, but I'll just go over it one more time. Killer bee coolant breather. So on the top of your block, there is this little thing called the coolant breather fitting, which is this. And this side is for the crankcase vent hose, and then this side is a little coolant pipe that looks just like this. It like attaches up onto this part right here. And I actually replaced the OEM one with the Killer Bee one because the Killer Bee one is a lot more sturdy. My OEM one was plastic and it's actually cracking. It was cracking a little bit and it was leaking from underneath. Not a ton, but like enough where I finally was like sick of it and I wanted to replace it. So I actually replaced the fitting and I kept the OEM line because it was bulging, but it looked fine. And the Mishimoto kit didn't come with one to replace it with. And yeah, I should have just went to the auto parts store after I noticed it bulging and just replaced it. But I did not because I thought, what are the chances it's gonna blow? It should be fine. I mean, coolant hose, you know, they take a beating, but apparently not. I'll show you guys again here. It split all the way. It probably split like right about that much on the car, and then it split the rest of the way. But anyways, it's a little memento. Able to get it fixed. Car was fine. I drove home that night, and then I came back and started doing some more laps. So let me pull up. You know what? Let's show this. So this was my buddy Trey's car. He There we go. So if you guys haven't seen that video where I actually walk through Trey's entire build, he has an STI that's amazing. He's one class above me. He's max 2 on max 3 because he has an aftermarket turbo, but he is the, he's the leader right now for SCCA for all max group. He did a 157, which is just crazy fast. He's running AO52 tires. He has quite a bit more power than I do. Top end power, I think he has maybe 15 to 20, maybe 25 horsepower more. But his power band is just so much wider than mine. He has it tuned for way more torque down low because he has external wastegates and aftermarket turbo and all that. So overall, definitely quicker, but he's just an amazing driver. So I wanted to give you guys a quick video about his lap. So you can just see how much more aggressively he takes everything. Crazy. What's up, guys? If you just joined the stream, I just saw we got a couple more viewers. We're reviewing my track footage from High Plains Raceway. This video is from my buddy Trey's. He set the fastest lap time of the day, so I just wanted to throw that up on the screen because it's really cool to look at. But welcome. If you guys have any questions at all, please drop them down in the chat. So he lives there, which I do too, so that makes me feel a little better. Hard braking zone. Late turn in, hit the apex about halfway up those curves right there. Drift out and then stay tight left. Over the little curb. Hard brake, hard left. And then really use these curves to see his car really get lifted by those curves there. 157.2. He was really fighting for a 156. I know that was his goal, but so let's compare that to my hot lap, my fastest lap of the day. Let me pull that up here for you guys. All right. I love watching that. So, let's rewatch that again, and I'm going to talk corner by corner about where I can see myself improving. And I do have another 2-day session at High Plains later in this same season with the SCCA. So, really excited to get back there. Before I do that, I bought some driving gloves. They're G-Force, same as the helmet, same brand as the helmet, and they felt amazing. I was always worried about running gloves because of, slipping on the shifter or something like that, but or my hands getting too hot or something like that. But no, they felt amazing. So if anybody does performance driving, definitely look at getting yourself some driving gloves. But I was just watching that video. I was watching my hands and I was turning and stuff, and I wanted to go put these on while I was watching this clip, but I'm not going to do that. All right. So remember that when we're doing our lap timing, the last little section of the previous lap absolutely counts towards your time on your timed lap because it affects how fast you cross the start line. So I start my video here. I make really good use of the curbing, stay in the throttle as much as I can through these S's. I could definitely be a little more ballsy and stay in there longer, but yeah. So using all the track on the right side, that's good. I think 104. Yeah. Hard brake, turn in. First issue here, I need to turn in a tiny bit sooner and use that curbing. So as I'm coming through this turn, I'm probably a foot, maybe a foot and a half away from the curbing there. I can probably take that a bit tighter, shave a quarter of a second right there. And then, yeah, I mean, I drifted out pretty far on this, which is what you want to do, but starting the turn in earlier lets you come in at a lesser angle onto the rumble strips on the right side here, where my mouse is. So turn it a little sooner, I think, and I can get back on power earlier too. I think I liked my line on this turn 2. Holding it, then touching the apex, getting onto it. And then coming up here is where I think I really need to improve. You'll see that I only hit like 65. I need to be going through this corner at least 75. And it's rough because it looks like a turn as you're going into it, but it's a false turn because it's a really wide bank. You can see how wide that it's not. You can see how far away the STI is right here. There's a ton of room there. I just need to stay in the throttle a bit more and carry more speed through that corner so I can hit a higher top speed on the exit onto the main street. So I lift there. I need to stay in it. So just need to stay in the throttle there. Hard brake, turn in, and I'll replay this, but let me show you. So you see me have the counter steer there. So I could have braked. I think I should have started turning in while releasing the brake instead of be completely off the brake for the turn in. Help keep the car settled a bit more. Sorry. Anyways, but basically the rear started stepping out right as I started making contact. I think it might have been when the front right wheel touched the curbing, and you could the wheel started sliding out a tiny bit, and so I had to counter steer. So I ended up going deep past this turn, and yeah, it was a little oh shit moment, but I kind of collected myself and stayed pretty calm, and that's what you need to do. Worst case scenario, you just go off and it's all grass and gravel, so there's not really any walls to hit there, which is lovely. Yeah. So you'll see me here. This is also something that I think I'm pretty good at, is being aware of everything going on track. Coming off that main straight, you're so focused on the signs on the left side where your braking zone is. And you're going 124 to, some people hit 135 there. I'm sure faster cars can hit top, 145, 150, whatever. But you're so focused on where that braking zone is and getting the braking correct. You don't want to be shooting off the track at 100 miles an hour on the backside of that. That you forget what's going on behind you. And you see me, after the car gets unsettled, I countersteer, I correct it, and you see me glance. And what I'm doing is I'm looking in my right mirror to make sure I'm not disrupting someone behind me, because I took that corner probably slower than I should have. And if somebody was right there with me, I could have unsettled them. And so you see me, and the other thing is I am technically off the racing line. So if somebody's there behind me and I'm too deep to the left, and somebody dives on my right, I don't want to turn into them. And so coming back onto the racing line, because you do need to go wide right to take the left, where the white STI is over here, just below my picture here. So, so I check my mirror, come back right there. I glance, check, make sure I'm good behind. Nobody's going to catch me on the straight anyways. I'm kidding. There are plenty of other faster cars. There was a stock C8 Corvette that can smoke me in a straight line anyways. But so I check my mirrors, and then I'm good, get back on the racing line, come back out right, and then hook in for the turn pass. Same thing here. I didn't go through that corner with as much speed as I should have, because I should have used all the track on the right. Really keep as much speed through that apex as much as I can, and then drift farther right, scrub out right as I'm turning back in to this downhill. But the car was unsettled. I got deep in the corner. I didn't really have as much speed. But even with that happening, I did overbrake a tiny bit. So here, I should have been on throttle faster coming out of the corner. Worst case scenario, the rear slides and it just self-corrects going straight, all-wheel drive car. But I think I could have, again, I overbroke and overbraked, and I need to carry a bit more speed through here. I should be carrying about 45, 46, 47 miles per hour through that corner. And if I am this low, I should have shifted down to second instead of third. And but yeah, I took a good line, I think. Overbraked a tiny bit. Just need to carry a bit more speed through the corner. This one's tricky. I think the same thing. I think I should have carried more speed through the corner and then scrubbed out farther, because you do have this extra little bit of track where the cones are. Just need to carry a bit more speed there. Nothing too fancy, but just carry a bit more speed, brake a little bit less, and just trust those tires as I go over the apex there and get on throttle a bit more quicker, farther to the right on the track. I love this section of the track. This little downhill S's section, I really like this, and I think I could stay in it a bit more than I did, but still carried quite a bit of speed, which felt great. Using all the track braking zone. And this one, I think I need to take a wider approach. So just turn in 10 feet later. That way I have more of a straight approach onto the back S's right here, where my mouse is. And I took a little bit too tight, and you see me coming out a bit wide, which means I have to move farther left and get off throttle to go over the right-hand turn. So if I had taken a wider line going over, I would have already been facing straight instead of having to come back left and then to the right. Using that curving, you see the car moving. There it is, and that's the 208. So with the index, the class index. So basically, because I'm max 3, there's max 2 and max 1. And basically, max 1, you can do anything you want to the car, but you have to have, I think you have to have the majority of the interior. You can't have below 200 treadwear tires. I can't remember what the other limitations, but between max 3 and max 1, there are quite a few things. So the reason I'm max 3 is because I don't have an aftermarket turbo. And the reason I'm max 3 and not tuner 1 is because I'm running ethanol. So once you run aftermarket fuels, you automatically get bumped from tuner up to max group. So with tuner, there's a lot of things you can do, but there are some power mods you can't do in tuner. In max, I have max 3, max 2, max 1. And so a person in max 1 that gets a 208 versus a person in max 3 that gets a 208. There is a index. So basically you multiply the max 3 score, the time, by 9.955. And it's a way to compare the different tiers within the group, within the class, and have the scoring on more even playground, even level. So my indexed time was, I think, a 202.999 or something like that. So just under 203. If I wanted to hit the same equivalent as Trey's time, which was a 157, I think I had to run I think it was a 205 or a 204. With my index, it would be dropped down to a 157. So I think that's definitely possible. It's definitely doable. If I make all those changes that I just talked about through that lap review, that's going to be a 204, because every corner where you fix something and you go through the corner faster, it just gets you onto the main straight faster, more exit speed, or even not even the main straight, any of the mini straights. It lets you get on throttle faster. It lets you leave the corner faster, and it's just exponential. So, especially turn 3, or what is it? Turn 4. Turn 3, yeah. Turn 3. I gotta stay in it. I gotta hit that at 75 so I can be at 130 at the end of the main straight instead of 120. So that's what I got for you guys today. That's overall, like I said, it was an amazing experience. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was the coolant situation. So obviously I had the coolant blow off, and that is, I don't want to say that's unavoidable, but that is a part failure. That was not the result of the car overheating so much. When it blew off, I was still at like 228 coolant temp, which is high, but not too high. And so when that happened, I fixed it, but throughout the weekend, it was 95-degree air temp. And so basically what I have figured out about the cooling setup I have on the car is basically this. Because the WRX has a stock oil cooler, which essentially is a pass-through on the oil filter neck, like that body that the oil filter screws down onto. There are coolant lines that pass through that, and it's used to heat the oil. But it's also used when the car is first starting to turn on. It helps bring the coolant temperature up faster because it's contacting the hot oil, which gets a bit it heats up faster at the beginning stages when you first turn the car on, which is great for a daily driver. But on this fast lap, right at the end of the lap, hot lap here, 244 oil temp. And again, that's within range. That's fine. But there is that point in the system where the coolant and the oil are directly contacting each other on purpose in the system in order to cool the oil down. And if the oil temperature is super high, all it's doing is heating the coolant up, not lowering the oil temp. And so when I was running these laps, I got 2 hot laps in this session. This is session 2 on day 2, right in the middle of the day. It was 95-degree air temp. Maybe it was like 93 or 94 at this point, because it was like 12 o'clock, I think, if I remember correctly. But basically, this was, as you can see, lap 2. No, I'm sorry, this was lap 1. Lap 1. So I did the out lap from the pit, and I used that to warm up the car, and then I just got on it on the first lap, the first full lap of the race of the session, and that's the only way I could do it without overheating. And I've been really watching my access port, and if I see anything above 230 coolant temp, I've been backing off immediately because it's just not sustainable. I want to make this engine last through the season. And, in the middle of winter, if I have to rebuild it or something like that, that's fine. But right now, I can't really afford to do that. It's such a hassle. I'd have to pay. If I blew the engine and blew the motor, I'd have to pay to have this car towed an hour and a half back to my apartment. And then I would have to pay out of my pocket to rebuild it. Yes, I know that's kind of part of the game, right? But pushing the car at the full limit, at 95 degrees air temp, while looking at your monitor and seeing 232, 235 coolant temp, and you're like, I'm still going to do a full lap on this, you're going to do something bad. Something's bad's going to happen in the block. Coolant's going to overheat. Oil's going to overheat. Something's going to happen. So I was keeping an eye on it, and so I did the out lap, and I would do this hot lap, which was this one you saw here. And then I did one more lap cool down. I really cooled the car down. It was really good spacing in this session, so I was able to just cruise at like 40 miles per hour down the back straight, get all of the coolant temps way down, and back to like near 200. And then I sent it again on the next lap, but I ended up sliding through one of the corners, through one of the braking zones. I just kind of ruined it, but that was all the time I had. And so I just started seeing more as soon as I got off the second hot lap in the session, which was like lap 4. I was like, I saw the coolant temperature start rising. It almost touched 230, and I was like, it's time. So pulled it in. I already had the 208 banker, in the bank, and so I was like, I'm happy with that. I don't want to push this car any further. But because of that system, the oil and the coolant affecting each other, my theory is that adding an oil cooler will actually help bring down coolant temps. In theory. Because if your oil temperature is at 220, right, there's no way your coolant can get higher than 220. Because like I said, they contact each other. They're designed to interface with each other in this car. Either the coolant, it's either designed based on the temperature difference. The coolant will cool the oil, or the oil will heat up the coolant, or vice versa. And so if the coolant's at 215 in the middle of a lap and your oil's at 240, it's going to heat the coolant up. And so if I can keep that oil temp way down with an oil cooler, which I think I can, it should bring down the coolant temps, and I should be able to push the car more consistently, even in the heat. So I do have something in the works. I can't tell you exactly what it is quite yet, because I'm working with the company that's, you'll hear about it more, but I do have a plan to address the oil cool situation, and I actually have a list of materials right here. I'm going to be running over to Home Depot. I got some plans here. But the other thing that I did for cooling was I did the block-off plate in the front of the hood scoop because I don't have a top-mount oil intercooler. And so if I did a oil cooler, it would have to be a top-mount oil cooler because I have a front-mount intercooler and I have the front-mount radiator, right? So an oil cooler, adding another one of those into that stack, because remember, you also have the AC condenser in that stack. So you have your intercooler front mount, you have your AC condenser, and you have your radiator. And so adding in the oil cooler in the front, it's just not going to work. It's gonna block the radiator way too much. So if I do a top mount oil cooler, that would absolutely be great. I just need to be able to create some kind of ducting system so that we're not increasing more volatile air into the engine bay under the hood. And so the block off plate I have on there now that's what it's designed to do. It's supposed to block off extra air coming in through the hood scoop into the engine bay and creating a high pressure zone. And the reason my car was able to cool off so quickly after these hot laps, when I'm doing those cool down laps, I think it's a big part of it is because of that block off plate, because now you have there's the air is able to flow through that cooling stack in the front of the front grille way easier. So if I switch to the top mount, I don't want to do it where I'm going back to the same issue of adding more volatile air underneath the hood. So I'll have to do some kind of ducting system to seal off the hood scoop down to the oil cooler so that all that channel of air is kind of in its own path, and the only air added to the engine has to go through the oil cooler rather than just getting random air just rushing and dumping onto it. So that's the plan. You guys will obviously hear more about it in a future video. And I also have another plan for changing my shifter setup. And no, it's not a short shifter. It's not a short shift kit. It is not a shift plate. It is not a shift bushing. Some of you guys might be able to guess what it is, but it's another thing I can't really talk about quite yet, but you will be hearing about it very soon, I promise. But anyways, how long have I been talking here? How long have I been live? It's been too long. It's almost an hour. Okay, 56 minutes. For the three guys still hanging out, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, but gotta go eat, gotta go get as many fluids in my system as I can, try to get healthy. Excuse me. I'm almost over it, I promise. But yeah, feel free, drop your questions in the chat. Oh, we're up to 5 viewers. Welcome. If you just joined, I'm about to end the stream, but welcome. If you guys want, please go ahead and rewatch this, the replay. Feel free to rewind it and rewatch it. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. If you like this video, make sure you hit the live stream. Make sure you hit the like button. did get too good of a turnout today, but hey, that's all right. I like interacting with you guys. Any last questions before I drop off here? Anyone? Oh, while waiting for you guys to. Oh, you're thinking of shifter mods. I do have something cool to show you. I kind of bought this on a whim. I told you I was practicing the laps on a shifter, but I bought a sim racing setup, and it's not the most expensive one. It's not Fanatec or anything like that. It's just the Logitech, the G923. Has force feedback. It feels really good, and I have the pedal setup. But if you guys would be interested in me doing a live stream about playing some racing games, I really, really, really want to start playing GT7, Gran Turismo 7. I've been watching some streamers play that, and I just think the game looks beautiful. It would be so much fun to play some of those GT Cup cars. They have the Subaru in the 2022. They have the BRZ, like the GT300 BRZ in that game. It looks amazing. But anyways, I think I'll have to buy one of those like seats that I can mount the pedals and the wheel to, and then put a monitor so I can have like a separate setup from my desk. Because right now when I press the pedal all the way, I roll backwards, so I can't really use the sim setup how it needs to be used yet. But anyways, I've been rambling for about an hour now. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming to hang out. If you like the live stream, make sure you drop a comment, leave a like. And yeah, it's been so much fun tracking the car, and I love sharing with you guys. And yeah, anyways, cool. I'll sign off. See you guys later. All right.